Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is the Saturday's edition of the program Shagalinko TV. It's good to have you all here, and thanks for being there for us. Well, first of all, let me say Happy Workers' Day to all workers in the world, all laborers, so to say, in the world. Today is a special day for workers, not just in Nigeria, but across the globe. And we're celebrating the Workers' Day, even though in Nigeria it's said to be that everyone should just do it low key. And then there's still celebration or public holiday on Monday because the federal government is also doing that. When public holidays fall on a weekend, it's shifted to the next working week or day. So yeah, every worker, everywhere you are, even if you're a retiree, this is also saying Happy Workers' Day. So today we're looking at mental health, and we're looking at it from the work front view. So how do people begin to reduce work related stress? A lot of times people get entangled in workplaces. People do work or jobs that they're not passionate about. They're just doing it for the money aspect and all that. If you ask a lot of people, they'll tell you the job they are in now, if they have their chance, they will do something else. Anyway, I have with me Mr. Iden. He's head of faculty, OSHversity. He's going to tell us more about that. And he's also a mental health ambassador. He lives in Lagos, Nigeria. And for those of you watching us across the globe, would like to hear from you as well. Drop a comment in the comment section, and do let us know also where you're watching us from. We'll really, really appreciate that. When you drop your comments, you let us know where you're watching from, and then we'll take it up from there. So simply today, we're looking at what can we do to reduce work-related stress. So let us know your opinion. If you've been stressed before as a worker, would like to share your experience with us as Mr. Hayden also talks with us. Okay, let me bring him in, and then we'll talk some more. Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, good afternoon, Shagalinku. How are you doing?
Well, good. It's good to have you. It's good to have you, and thanks for joining us in spite of your very busy time. So
Thanks
take
for
us
inviting
through
me.
who. You're welcome. So take us through who Mr. Iden is, and then we'll go on to talk about our topic of discussion. What should our viewers get to know about you?
Okay, my name is Iden. I'm the CEO, Occupational Health and Safety Managers in Lagos, but I'm also the head of faculty at OSHversity and the president of Africa. I'm primarily an occupational health and safety consultant. Um, I have a master's in occupational health and safety. I'm doing my PhD in occupational health and safety, but focusing on workplace health and wellness promotion. So I've done this for over 20 years, and I work across different cities and countries across Africa, but I'm domiciled in Lagos. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Messages are already pouring in. This one is from Isaac Adam. It says, "Greetings to the fine gentleman as our guest. Greetings from Finland." Okay, I guess you can relate with this, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so Isaac, thank you so much. And yes, for those of you watching as well, do let us know where you're watching from, and drop your comments, drop your ideas, what you think, how you think we can reduce work-related stress. Now, Ehi, let's start from the basics. A lot of people just hear about mental health, and they may not even know what it is before we even go to how we can identify work-related stress. In a nutshell, what will you be telling our viewers what mental health is?
Thank you very much for clearing this doubt. We need to really understand what mental health is so that we are able to deal with mental health in its true sense. WHO sees it as a state of well-being which every individual realizes his or her potential, able to cope with normal work stress, and can contribute productively to his or her community. So this is what mental is all about. So mental health really is not just a state of mental disorder. Yeah, a lot happens that we overlook, and we are looking at the physical manifestation before we start running helter-skelter saying we have mental health issues. Anyone you see today that looks stable, look normal, may be dealing with high dose of mental health issues. So what we should be looking at is first understanding what mental health is, what to look out for, so that we are able to really able to offer help or signpost people to the right direction where we need to help.
Okay, so we got this one here from Frederick. If you can see it on the screen, I'd like you to read this and then we'll go on.
Good afternoon, all. Great to be joining this discussion from Lagos. I know Frederick. Frederick is a very versatile occupational colleague of mine in Lagos. Yeah.
No, okay. So let's even come back to a whole lot. You know, the pandemic is still there. During the lockdown, a lot of people lost their jobs. You know, families were also going through their own problems. There was high rise of gender-based violence. You know, rape cases. People suicidal. You know, I wouldn't say people were committing suicide, but there was a whole lot of suicidal feelings and all that. Could you also say that the pandemic has also fueled a lot of mental health issues?
Without much doubt or equivocation, it's obvious that mental health has highly been fueled by this pandemic. If you even take a look at the number of healthcare workers that have died, as a result of the pandemic, a number of them, the number of nurses we have read about that committed suicide, a number of people that down their tools, it heightened. There was mental health, but what the pandemic did was to take mental health to a very whole new dimension. People, when you look at most time we talk about stress, which of course is also very fundamental in mental health, but I look at stress as the workload you have to do and the resources you have to cope with the workload. When your coping capabilities are being overweighted by your resources you have to cope with, so it becomes a big issue. And this we saw play out in the healthcare sector, where people saw many people dying, that they couldn't just cope with. And even not outside the healthcare sector, people were isolated at home. There was no plan for this. Yes, I know we have talked about the future of work, which of course was characterized by remote working and flexibility of work. But most organizations were not able to implement this. But when the pandemic came, it didn't ask for our consent. It forced all of us home. So whether we were prepared for it or not, we were forced to work from home. And understand the fact that there are a lot of workers that see workplaces as the place that they have for social integration, place they have for socialization. They live alone. They live alone in their homes. They have no relative. They just come and sleep at home and go to work the next day. So they look forward to work on a daily basis, meeting colleagues, sharing experiences, and all what have you. But this set of people even have had the highest mental health burden, because now you start having issues that have to do with lone worker syndrome, lonely workers. They just stay in their home. That means nowhere to go to, nobody to talk to, nobody comes in or goes out. And just imagine what happened. So a lot of people took to high level of alcoholism, coping with substances and all what have you. And these were some of the things that came with the pandemic. What about people who had families, women that are married and men that have wives and children at home? There are men who have never spent 48 hours at a stretch in their home because of their busy schedule. Now they were confined to their homes, and they just didn't know how to cope with it because it's not what they were used to doing. Some women have to cope with dealing with family issues, providing for taking care of husband and children, and still dealing with the workload they have to do from their workplaces. So these were critical issues that they had to deal with. So there were heightened mental health conditions that came with the COVID-19 pandemic. Even to this moment, people are still dealing with such issues. You also read about high level of domestic violence that came up as a matter of COVID-19. And all have you. There were people who felt they had relationship. They had to move in as living lovers because there was lockdown. I'm sure a number of them have to pack all those relationships because at the point you didn't know who this person was because you never lived together before. Now we saw our differences. Relationships were broken. Those that couldn't cope had to go their separate ways. So the pandemic came with a whole lot of disruption, and we came with high level of mental health undertone, which of course we are still dealing with even to date.
Thank you very much for that. I'll read a few messages that I got on the other line. And this one says, my name is Linda. I'm watching from Chicago. I'd like to ask your guests that what can we do as persons to support our colleagues when we find that they are going through mental health issues or work-related stress?
The
Thank you, by
f-
the way. Yeah,
Thank you,
go
Linda,
on.
for that. And the first thing we have to do, which of course I always say, we have to start encouraging conversation around mental health. Conversation around mental health is still under wrap. Nobody wants to talk about it, yet it exists in our midst. The more we talk about mental health, the more people who are dealing with mental health issues are able to find help. Until we can talk about mental health, they will be talking about malaria, other diseases, typhoid, other diseases like headache, and all have you high fever. We should bring mental health to that same kind of level of conversation, because now nobody wants to talk about mental health. We talk about it in secrecy. Let this person not hear. Let this person not hear. By doing this, we kind of open more the stigma that surrounds mental health. Even in workplaces, we want the leaders, the CEOs, business leaders to champion the discussion and conversation around mental health. Let he who suffers or who suspect to be suffering mental health issue be able to walk to HR and say, HRO, this is what I'm going through. But the thing is, we must build trust, because people are able to talk to people that they can trust. So until we are able to open up the conversation on mental health, we are not able to support those who suffer from mental health. That's the first thing we must need to do. Secondly, we must be able to be abreast with what are those symptoms we should look out for in mental health. You have people who work with you. I mean, I give you an example. Somebody who used to come to work as early as possible. He used to be a very jolly good fellow, vibrant employee. He missed his target. He doesn't relax. But all of a sudden, he comes to work so late, looking so shabby and unkept. He's now reclined to himself. We should be worried at that point and be able to actually open up a conversation. Is there any way I can help? But the truth is, when you're going to open that conversation, don't go in a way that sounds confrontational, because when people have mental health, they are willing to hide everything and anything because they've been good at doing that. So what you need to do, go with an open mind. If the person says, I don't want to talk now, please appreciate his preference that he or she doesn't want to talk, and don't force it further. Okay? It's basically, I think this is what I have been through. I'm looking forward to talk to. Create time. We must learn first to listen, because the world is short of listeners. We don't listen anymore. Everybody wants to talk. So people want to talk to people, yet nobody wants to listen. So we must first put ourselves in a position of good listener, I mean active listenership, so that we are able to help our people. You don't interrupt them when they're telling you, because they have bottled up so many they want to pour out. Give them listening ears. When you're able to allow them pour out everything, you have helped them to about 30 to 40% of what they are going through. There's a relief. Being able to talk about mental health is highly therapeutic. So we must learn to give listening ears, open the conversation, and learn to listen. Take down notes if you want to, but you must seek the person's consent. Do you mind if I take down notes so that I don't miss out all that you have told me? If you say don't take down notes, that's his preference. We must respect their preference and know how to offer help. But understand also, if you're not trained, you are only there to support. We all can support, but learn to know when to signpost, when to refer, direct the person to somebody who has more superior, or a trained specialist that can help this person. But you must see the person's content. Do you mind? Would you mind if I talk to this great mental health counselor or physician that I know that could be of help? If he says don't. If he says let talk to the person, talk to the person. But these are ways that we can help in help people who are dealing with mental health conditions. But understand the fact that once a person is dealing with mental health conditions, his level of reasoning, his level of articulation changes, because it suspects everybody that they're talking, maybe some say something about him or her. So we must learn to deal with their preferences while trying to help them as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Ehi. I got this other one here. It says, my name is Amaka and I'm watching from Port Harcourt. A lot of times, female workers go through a whole lot. Sometimes it could be their menstrual cycle. Sometimes it could be relationship issues. How do we learn to also open up? Because a lot of times people are judgmental. Even when you talk with your boss or the HR, they sometimes feel you want to skip work.
You see, that's Amaka. Thank you so much for that question. You see, one thing we must learn in mental health conversation is that blame game is counterproductive. A man is already, or a woman is already having mental health issues or struggling with mental health conditions. Your responsibility, I mean, when you're coming to help, is not to first start apportioning blame. Whether he or she is right or wrong, your responsibility is not to blame, but to offer help. Yes, we know in workplaces we have people that suffer. I mean, there are people that have, I mean, terrible mental health, menstrual condition that could be very disturbing. The truth is, you need to be able to open up and discuss this in the workplace. The truth is that for you to be productive in the workplace, you must have to be well and sane. There's no doubt in that. But the truth is, we must learn to give our people the opportunity to air their views. Mind you, every man created by God has a fundamental right to be able to express himself. When you try to gag a man, that's when you try to gag a man, trying to seize that fundamental human right of being able to be communicative. That's why you see men, they come up to protest. You must learn to listen to people. Don't frown at whatsoever. Even if you are a male HRO, a lady comes to me and said that I'm dealing with very severe menstrual pain. I need to don't put up a facial expression that looks like, oh, what does that mean? Help such a person to normalize such condition. Being able to normalize such condition is the first step that you can actually offer to getting the best of help. Yes, if the person cannot stay in the workplace, what is important for you? It's not just to having somebody stay in the. That's what you call presenteeism. You stay in the workplace but not optimally productive. Do you want to see the person physically present? Is that what you want? Or you want the person to be productive wherever he or she is? That's what we're talking about, flexibility of work. If such a, I mean, as a matter of fact, have a policy where people have the right to call in. I'm not feeling too healthy or too well today. I'm calling in. Maybe I can be given an exemption to work from home. You don't need to see your employees physically before you know that they are working. As a matter of fact, by what has happened in this pandemic, many organizations have no plan to even come back to physical office environment. As a matter of fact, the study that was done by BBC sometime in March or February this year, they interviewed 50 of the biggest the organizations in the UK, and they said they have no plan to bring their people back to work. I mean, physical workplace, not even now or in the future. And most there is a survey that was done by, I think it was done by World Bank and PwC. And you look at those surveys are becoming so glaring that we don't need to have everybody come to the workplace. And they did survey on both employers and employees, and the correlation is so strong that people will not naturally be in the workplace. I mean, as it used to be. The earlier we understand this, the better. So having somebody have with such menstrual pain in the workplace, come on, just allow the person to go, because the person needs to be mentally safe, because those pain could be tormenting psychologically to that person, and keeping that person in the office. I mean, there's little or nothing that the person can achieve. It just brings back the understanding. That's why we ask that those who work as HRO, there is need for them to go through what you call courses on psychology, health and well-being. They need to know, because until you are in same level with these people, you won't be able to appreciate what they are going through, because being able to give them exemption is only when you stand at the position where you can appreciate and understand their condition. So these are the issues. For the abuse, definitely, whether you are male or female, many people go through abuse in the workplace. Some of them are sexual harassment, workplace violence, bullying. These are things that you find in the workplace. But I think every organization must have a strong policy that deals or speaks to this kind of abuse that happen in the workplace. So when we have policy that is anti-bullying, policy that is anti-sexual harassment. So when you have those policies, it keeps people under check, and giving people an open opportunity to talk about those issues when they happen. It helps stem down the occurrence of those things in the workplace and keep all of us safe while we work together for collective goal.
Yeah, thank you very much. So let me even come back to basics. Is there a place where, when there's no passion for the job, we all see the work environment as stressful? I'm trying to marry the instance where if one is passionate about the job, the stress becomes like something that even keeps you going. It becomes like a challenge and not a stress anymore, because life itself, even people who sit at home, who don't do anything, still go through stress of their own. So where do we begin to find that that point in time where people need to also should begin to look out for the kind of jobs they are doing? Also marrying it to timelines. Timelines are also maybe one of the ways stress is also being built. So timelines are there, and we live in a difficult environment where also it's not always easy to meet up timelines. So what do you say about these two scenarios?
Those are many questions wrapped up in one, but let me take it as much as I can. Firstly, the first thing is that if you don't like your job, you will never get the results you are asking for. You must like what you do to be able to get good outcome from that job. So if you have a job that you're managing, it's not what you want to do. The truth is that you wake up every day, you're already drained before you go to that job. Why? Because that's not the kind of job you want to do, because we have what you call toxicity of that work environment. You also know that researchers have said we spend more hours in our workplaces than we spend in our homes. If that being true, it means the workplace must be made friendly, safe, and healthy enough for us to stay and work and stay those longer hours of the day. Our wake hour, more of those wake hours, we spend them in our work. We only come to our home to watch television for a short time, then we sleep, wake up the next morning, and we go to work. So if that being the case, there is an urgent need for organizational leaders, supervisors, managers to start fixing the workplace, because that's where people stay the length of the wake hours of their time. If we don't do that, what we'll end up having is that, just imagine somebody stays in a toxic work environment and work there for 26 years of his or her life. What you have done, you have invariably, you have set a default stage and created a potential toxic employer of labor, because what the person has gone through for 26 years become a part of his or her system. We must first create what you call the healthy workplace, where people can be seen and valued as human beings, where people can be seen and managed as people, not where you see people as what you pay them is like you're doing them some favor. No, let's strike a balance. When we have a contract, the contract that we have is between individual A and company A. The individual A is giving his service. Company A is paying for that service that individual is delivering, and this must be established. If this is established, it means the company owes the employee what you call duty of care within the hours that the employee spends in the workplace. But if you are struggling with a job that you do not like to do, I will advise you, no matter how long you stay in that job will change you from who you really are and from what your potentials are in life. When you stay in a wrong place, firstly, when you come in, over time, it looks wrong to you. Just like when you come into a dark place, that's so dark. When you come in, everywhere looks dark to you because it's like a new environment. But when you stay in that place for so long, you find out that you begin to see, no matter how little it is, that's how it is. When you stay in such a toxic work environment for so long, it may look alien to you, but you find out over time, the wrong things in that environment begin to manifest in your system. You are now beginning to get comfortable with those things, and it changes you from who you are to who you now become. So when you leave that place and go to a place that is healthy, that is well managed, well structured, you find out that you are struggling to cope because of where you're coming from. So what I would say is that if the job you are doing right now is not the kind of a job you want to do, no matter how much you put into that job, you will not get the kind of results you are looking for. That's the truth. So come back to the issue of timelines and work stress and deadlines. The truth is that two key things have fueled these things globally. One of them is technological advancement. Second one is a global competitiveness. Company A wants to outsmart company B. We want to post profit, but it is morally wrong for any organization to post profit at the expense of employees' health and well-being. When we are posting profit that we have made financially, let's also give a report of how many lives we have destroyed in an attempt to make that company profitable. So you can't just go about as CEOs or leader of organization posting profit when workers who work, labor to get that profit, you have destroyed them. And when you talk about health outcomes, you may not get the outcome now. It's called cumulative health effect from work. They may not manifest now. It's like either you pay now or you pay later, because the health decline cumulatively, and over time you're seeing the manifestation. That's why we see people who work all through their lifetime and they look well, clean, pop, and plain. But when they leave, what is paid to them, they start using it to manage the health and well-being that was destroyed in the job that they did. You find out that you pay out retirement benefit to an employee. What you have already done to that employee, based on what you have done to that employee while he or she was working with you, is take this money, go and manage what is left in your head. We know definitely that this company has dealt with your head. That's what you've done. But how can we change the status quo to start looking employees' retirement life from where it is right now, so that we can put good processes in place in ensuring that this employee is well managed, duly managed, that he retires, he's still able to have life after retirement, not looking for the money, not using the money you have paid to him or her to start looking for health after retirement. And these are the two key issues. Then we must understand that our managers need to be trained. You see, most times, we advocate, don't become an armchair rocking CEO. When you do that, whatsoever happens under your tenure, even if people don't know, God will hold you accountable, because you can't afford to have people that are trusted unto you. You don't care what happens to them. You have managers who have level of toxicity within them, just management level, and they treat people. I mean, I share a story here. While I was teaching in one of the banks, someone shared a story with me of a certain bank in this country where a marketer was made to kneel down by a bank manager. You know why? A branch manager. You know why? Because he couldn't meet his target. Come on. When we bring, I asked what happened to the branch manager afterwards. When the news came to filter out to the company, he was fired immediately. And I like the response for the management of that bank. We can't bring people out of their house, dehumanize them, they lose their self-esteem. But the truth is, when you hire these people, they were the best in the list of people that were qualified for this job. But have you ever asked yourself, how come I hired the best hand, a champion, at the point that the supposed champion is leaving? He's almost like imbecile. He's almost like a moron, because he has lost every self-esteem. Don't come to the office talking people down. Everybody you see in the office has high potentials. It depends on how you manage them. Remember, as a junior staff that you were then, now you are a manager. Remember, as a junior staff, when you were going through the rank, there were people that supported you. There were people that helped you. There were people that you benefited from their gestures that brought you where you are today. Now you have reached the height, and you are now a manager or a CEO. What you benefited from, you destroyed it. You forgot that people helped you to get to where you are today. Then you now dehumanize people and treat them as if they are not human beings. We beg you, every treatment we mentor to these people, it affects their mental health. Allow people to don't water down people's self-esteem. Don't hire champions, and at the point they're leaving, they can't even figure out who they are anymore. Why you give the deadlines and the timelines, you that's giving it, realistically this is not achievable. So why do you give timelines and deadlines and workload to people that realistic that even you cannot achieve it. Don't set people up waiting for them to fall and you give them and you penalize them for that. Let's bring humanity back to the workplace. The truth is that there's no culture that is older than human culture. Let's treat people like human beings first before taking them as our employees. When we do that, it will go a long way in stabilizing the mental health tension that work in the workplace, and people will just be, it could help them in dealing with those mental health burdens that they have within the workplace. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In case you just joined us, this is the Saturday's edition of Shagalinko TV, and we're talking with our guest, Iden. He's the head of faculty, OSHversity, a mental health ambassador from Lagos, Nigeria. I'd like you to tell us a little more about OSHversity. I hope I got that right. But before then, let me quickly read this message here. This one on the screen is from Prince Ali. It says Oshe. And I got another one here. It says, my name is Kojo and I'm watching live from Accra, Ghana. I'd like to say and commend your guest for really delving into this. I'd also like to ask him that what can we begin to do separately as employees? Because sometimes you have very, very, very difficult employers. Thank you so much, Kojo.
Okay, let me start with Kojo's concern. The truth is, as employees, you must also learn to personalize your mental health and your well-being. Whether you like it or not, when all chips are down, that your employer of labor will not follow you to your old age. You might have to separate at some point, which of course is obvious. Know the much that you can take. You see, there's what you call compassion fatigue. When you want to do all the work, I also know that we also have that issue where workers want to do all the work. Don't want to take everything and I can do everything. Know the load that you can carry and learn when to say no. Most of us don't have that ability to say, I've had enough. I can't take more work. I have enough to deal with for the day. Can you do this? Yes. Can you do this? Yes. Can you do this? Yes. You end up piling up so much work. You can't blame your employer over that. You should take the blame for the workload that you have accumulated for yourself over the period of time, because you have the right to say, I can't do it. I have enough. I can't add this to what I have. People come, can you help me do this? Can you help me do this? Everything you take. I used to be a victim of that. But I realized that at some point, I found out that I do a lot of work. Either they come out shabbily or I'm not able to meet the deadline. What do you really want? To have so much work that you cannot give the best of your time to, or to have the few work that have the best of your time and have an excellent signature on it? You decide. So when you have such an environment where you have, there are some difficult employers, but please learn to define, yes, I have this I can do today, sir, but this I can't. If I add it to that, I can't get the best out of my time. Learn when to say no. Like I said before, being able to speak out or speak up is very important. Most of us, workload is dumped on us and we keep quiet. When you do not speak out, nobody knows what you're going through. Being able to speak out, what you're doing is that I've had enough on this, I can deal with, and this is too much for me. But when you don't do that, everybody feel is comfortable with the whole workload and they keep dumping it on you, and you end up suffering a lot, taking work home, meaning you are even working extra hours that the company is not paying for. You have family at home, you are taking work too. So this adversely also affects your relationship. If you are married and you have children, you are not able to have quality time to spend with your children and your spouse at home, and because of the workload you're bringing home. And this also affects you. And again, it also affects your sleep, because you're working at home into late night. You're not able to have quality sleep time or sleep hours. Back to OSHversity. OSHversity is an initiative that we set up last April. It was better within the COVID-19 as a matter of fact. Yes, the dream has been there, but COVID-19 helped us to bet it more. But what bettered OSHversity was the word that one of my mentors, his name is TJ Walker, he told me that, do you understand that you may be young today and able to hop into one flight to the other to go and do training in different cities, in different countries. But remember, a time will come when you either get so old or because of health issues, you are not able to hop into flight to do to do all those training like you used to do today, you must understand that the future of training and capacity building is online training. And that was all I needed to hear. And that spurred us into action. I started discussing this with my colleagues in the office, and we designed OSHversity, where people can actually OSHversity training and development company, where people can actually come in and offer training. And one of the motivations we had, people in Africa and low and medium income countries are not able to access occupational health and safety training, even well-being and mental health training, because of the high cost of registering for these courses from different international organizations. But whether they register or not, there's work to be done. And that's why you're seeing a lot of people, they sneak into this field, they are not trained, they are quack, but they have passion for this job. So they are not trained, but they are in the field, seeing what they can do to protect lives and safety of employees within the workplace. But we felt, if these people cannot really afford these courses, we can design something that they can access for free without paying for it. So OSHversity is an initiative we have designed that people can, we advertise our courses, they can sign in and register for those courses, and they attend the classes free of charge. They don't pay anything. The only way we get payment, if you now want a certificate, we can charge you between maybe $7 to $10 to $15 for a certificate, so that you can have what to show that, yes, I attended this course, and you can build on that. If you've attended the class and you say, I don't need a certificate, the knowledge I have acquired from this class is enough for me to go and improve workplace health and safety in my workplace, all well and good. You can talk to us anytime. But this is what we have done. We have done to improve people having access to quality health and safety training, and again, to reduce the level of quackery in occupational health and safety in Africa and low and medium income countries. We have done this independently by our own fund. We funded ourselves. So far, we have had about 160 persons trained by us across 17 African countries in different areas. And this we enjoy doing, because the training they hold in Zoom, they're able to log in from anywhere they are in the world. And this we enjoy doing. It's been very stimulating, and we love the experience. And we hope to train, a minimum of 1,500 people between now and end of the year. And that's what we're doing. So it's been very good for us, and we like the experience. But we need people to support us, because it's becoming a little burdensome on us. But we won't stop. If we have support, it will increase the frequency of our training, how quick our training come up. So we found out that we have to raise funds to be able to actually start a training. So we keep doing this month in, month out, but we will need support on this to those who can support this initiative, so that we can get more people trained in Africa and low and medium income countries. Up to Saudi Arabia, we see people coming in up to Saudi Arabia to join our classes. This is something that we find very, very impressive, and we're happy doing this over and over again. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much for that. We'll be wrapping up soon, and in case you just joined us and you want to contribute, do drop your comments on the comment section, or you could send it as a text. The number is scrolling on the screen. It's +234 805438 3460, or you drop your comments on the screen and then we'll read them. We're looking at mental health. How do we reduce work-related stress? And I have with me Iden, also talking with us from Lagos. So drop your comments. We'll be reading them as we go on. We'll be wrapping up soon. But then I still need to ask Ehi, in terms of people also changing jobs, because sometimes people just feel where they are at that moment is very worse, and then they get to another job, they discover that where they were was even a blessing, unlike where they are now. So how do you begin to also talk to employers? And I like the fact you talked about when the chips are down, it's still your personal self. So while you try to meet up deadlines for offices or the organization you work, you must begin to take it cognizance of your own health. So where would you advise employees? Because sometimes they also take where they are now for granted, with the mindset that, okay, there's a greener pasture out there, and then they get to that new environment, they begin to find that, if I had known I wouldn't have left where I was before. So how do you begin to also advise as a mental health ambassador? How do you begin to advise employees to also realize that there's no greener pastures anywhere, well, it seems like. So they begin to appreciate where they are and then leverage from there.
Okay, I'll start by saying, telling employees, it's not everything that glitter that is gold. You have a choice to make. That's why I talked about personalizing your mental health. You have a choice to make. You have a place where you work right now. You might not be earning so much, but you're comfortable. Your mental health is stable. You are not under any form of pressure. They take care of you. They respect your person and your personality. Now you feel, what I'm going to do, I want to move to there's a place where I need to move to. That place looks like, do you know that some people move from where they are comfortable to a new place just by 2,000 naira or 5,000 naira salary increase, and they get there, they get tormented. The truth is that you decide what you want, your health and your well-being, or move to a place where you'll be under constant harassment that will distort you, deform you, change you from who you are. They will pay you the money, but you can't live to actually enjoy that money they're going to pay you. For me, stay where you are, where your person is being respected, you are not being abused. Whatever you put in is being appreciated. I think you are better off in terms of health and well-being and mental health than moving to a place where you are under constant pressure. I met a colleague of mine who went to a conference recently, and when I finished from that conference, I told myself, he has so much money, but I don't want to be like him, because he couldn't even have time to stay in the conference for the whole time. Either he's going out to receive one phone call, or he's busy sending messages. I told myself, this is the beginning of insanity for him. And he's been making some money, but the truth is that whatsoever you do with yourself today, when you are not careful in the money of your life, the evening thereof, what you didn't give cognizance, you will pay for it. The head on its own has law. When you break the law of head, you will pay for it, whichever way you want to look at it. And that there's no two ways about that. And when you find out that you get into a job, let me delve quickly into sleep. I beg you, and I beg you again. You have to learn to create time for sleep. We used to brag a lot when we were younger in our career. Do you know how long I stayed awake working on that proposal last night? I slept at 1 a.m. That's the most stupid bragging right we can ever bring up. You think we will respect you because of that? It always shows that you are a man who doesn't know how to manage his time and doesn't know what it means to have your personal time and your work time. Now, you slept at 1 a.m. working on a document doesn't make you a more productive person or a smarter person. You have to learn when to, even as COVID-19 has come right now, I mean, researchers have said that there's only a bloodline, a tiny line between your personal time and your work time. And that's how it is. Learn to sleep and sleep adequately. Sleep is dependent on how old you are. I mean, within the work age, you need to sleep between 7 to 9 hours if you can. Even 6 is fine. But we found out that most of us, when we come back, we bring our work home, we're not able to sleep until 1 a.m. and we brag about it. When you sleep, the neurons in your brain, they go to rest, processing you for a fresher tomorrow. But when you engage your mind all through the night and you're working all through, and you come back to want to work and be productive the next day, that's what you call circadian rhythm. It's called the body clock. What you owe as sleep that you're supposed to sleep at night that you didn't sleep, it will ask you for you during the daytime. That's why you have people sit in a meeting or a conference. They have what you call microsleeping. I see what Isaac is writing concerning regulatory requirements. I want to talk a little on this. We need to start talking to our African, not just Nigeria, our African leaders or Ministry of Health or the regulatory bodies. We need to start repealing our mental health legislations and laws. Most countries, as of today, even Nigeria inclusive, you still find out that even in a Nigerian law, the ordinance they refer to is still the lunacy ordinance that the colonial masters left for us is still within here. I mean, when you have this When workplaces have changed, reality has changed. We are still working with old laws that cannot do anything. We need to start repealing our laws. Mental health treatment or mental health approaches in management has even changed, but we are still holding on to those critical issues. Even in our laws, you don't have anywhere to take somebody to where you talk about, oh, it was a mental health violation. What we have in our law is insanity. But understand the fact that things happen before you get to a level of insanity. So when you do not have laws, even in the law court, that provide for workplace mental health violation, you are waiting until the person remove clothes and start running around the street. But you not say that, oh, that's a lunatic. No, we don't have to. We need to see how we can repeal our laws. As a matter of fact, late 2019, we had this meeting in WHO, and where most African leaders were there. I mean, talking about these issues, and you find out that most of the laws, even in Ethiopia, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, you still have those kind of archaic laws. When somebody have mental health issues, the next thing we do is to put them in chains and put them in mental health asylum. This does not help these people. It further aggravates their conditions and worsen their situation. So we need the laws to be repealed, pick on mental health at the onset, at the early stage, so that we're able to nip it on the board before it escalates to a level where we start having high level of psychotic behavior or manifestation of those mental health dispositions.
Thank you very much for that. So as we begin to wrap up now, I'd like you to tell us what's the way forward, because a lot of times people might even be going through work-related stress and they won't know. I also like the fact where you talked about the bragging rights that people have, because you hear that a lot in open spaces where you find someone just tell you, well, you are enjoying, me, I was awake till 3 a.m. Do you know what I was doing? I was writing this and writing that. And then you begin to feel guilty, like, oh, now me know they work, Abi. Now me lazy, Abi. Because I've found long ago that you need to plan for your life, you can't, you don't need to strain yourself to know that you are hardworking. So you find people say that all the time, especially if you see you go through social media, or you're browsing or doing something, they're like, you even get time, you dey check Facebook. We will walk reach 4 a.m. yesterday. And I look at them again and I'm like, so what award did you win for being awake all through the night? I mean, if you're awake at night, what will you not do in the day? So
sure.
What is the way forward, because these things it's now becoming like a social class, I stayed awake, I do this. You find people get jet lagged, they travel a lot, and then they are jumping into a program almost immediately. And when you tell organizers that, no, I need 1 day of, let it be arrival, so that we move in the next day, they're like, so your colleagues, even that you are fighting for, will be telling you, lazy man, maybe you'll make they fly 20 hours, still go attend the program. I have worried. So what do we do?
The truth is, TJ Walker told me, what is important to you, you create time for it. If your mental health is important to you, you create time for it. So if anybody's inviting me for a conference, I want me to hop from the aircraft to the conference, he doesn't need me, because I also have a life to live after the conference. You can't stress me through the flight. I fly all through about 6 or 7 hours from the flight. It's not possible. If they value you, as a matter of fact, it's not if they value you. You have to first place the value on yourself. I want to arrive a day before the conference, and I'll leave a day after the conference. I mean, know what you want, okay? Place a value on yourself. That's a good way to start. Secondly, you must define what is priority to you and what priority means. Every work you do, you are faced with today, is not important. Where are the work that I have that are very important? They are the ones you can deal with. The ones that are not important, leave them. You do understand? So give attention to the work that have priority. Don't bundle everything together. Decongest your table. The ones that shift them aside so that you can face what you know are your priorities. There must also add, we always think that mental health has to do with only adults. We used to call mental health as an adult illness. Children are also getting involved in mental health. So mental health is not a respecter of age, neither is it a respecter of colors. So we must first start looking at our children, looking at their behavior and let them understand what it means. Because if you look at it critically, mental health has a strong correlation with comorbidity with cardiovascular issue. I mean, just like you said, people hopping from one flight to the other, sleeping at all hours, not having enough sleep. I mean, you are just one human being. One day you find out that you just want to go to work, and that's the cardiovascular accident, and you die. When you die today, the next day there are people that are queuing up to take over your roles. So as we're rounding up today, I want to beg you. Your life is about you. There is no health without mental health. If you think you have health today, if mental health is not stable, you have no health. You must see what you can do. Mental health must be guided jealously. As a matter of fact, you must do everything that you can so that when you retire, you can retire safely. People get retired, their retirement become worse than their work life. Retire safely and go back home. Whatsoever you're paid, learn how to manage it for the rest days you have in your lifetime. What do you really want in life? Do you want to live in 20 houses? What is that is fueling? You're running from pillar to post. How many cars do you want to have? You just have to tone it down. Tone it down. You are only one human being. You can only achieve but little. Don't stress yourself beyond your limit, because at the end of the day, what you're stressing yourself for, you might not be able to live to see it. I want to live to see my children all finish school, graduate, get married, and see my children's children. So if that is my plan, I must put I must take the cognizance what I do in my life, mental health and well-being today, so that I'm able to see that. And so what you want God says every man is a free moral agent. So what you want to do with your life, God doesn't ask you, He has given you a choice. Whatever you do with it, know that every choice you make is a deposit. That's what you call emotional deposit. Whatever you deposit right now, you withdraw from it. So decide what you want to have at the point of withdrawal is just what you deposited. So the choice is yours. How you want to live your life. You want to retire and still retire well and healthy and well. It's your choice. If you want to retire to see that what is left in your life is only about 2% of what you ought to have gained, it's your choice. You find out that you die off. People that didn't work for what you suffer for, they end up enjoying what you ought to have lived to enjoy if you manage your health and well-being properly.
Wow, that's really a lovely one. And now I'll be bringing you back again because there's so many things I really want you to touch on. I was going to really ask you, especially the lady who talked about menstrual hygiene and all that. I was also going to ask you, where is and I know you also talked about it when we were on the show, that when you started the show, rather, that organizations should make plans to make the work environment comfortable for employees, because the truth is they spend more time at work and then only to go home, just read headlines, read a few newspapers, and then they doze off. And they're waking. If you live in places like Lagos or very busy cities, you wake up very early mornings again to to beat traffic and all that. So I was really going to ask you to talk a few things, or maybe you just take a few seconds, maybe 30 seconds, to talk about what we can also do to support women generally, because aside even menstrual hygiene or menstrual health that the lady from Port Harcourt or someone talked about, we have women who have children. We have organizations who make women sign that they are not going to be either getting married or having children at a certain point in time for as long as they stay in that organization. So maybe quickly, I'll let you also address that issue, what organizations need to do to also help, because they are also losing very good manpower when they put such clauses in their employment. You find very good women who would have brought something to the table, just going off because they can't sign such agreements. So what is the place that organizations need to be gender friendly as we do this? I know I'll bring you back so we'll talk more on that. Yeah.
No, it is fine, but I must say here, at desperation, look in between the lines. Don't just sign anything because you are desperate to get a job. Any organization that makes you to sign that you will not get pregnant it's a deprivation, not just, no, it's a deprivation on your fundamental human rights. Don't say because you're looking for a job, they say you're not saying, okay, sir, I will not get pregnant for 9 years. A woman has a window period. Your time is ticking fast. The time, your productive time is only a window period. That time you have to give birth to children because you sign against this in your organization that you're working for. I don't think that is not morally right, and whichever way you put it. Then we must also learn, because now we're talking about gender balance within the workplace. We must also learn. Don't say because she's a woman that she needs to be abused because she works for us. There are particular physiological differences that a woman shares with a man. You should have that at the back of your mind. What we even do, some of the projects we're thinking of doing in schools, even recently, was to also create what you call menstrual pad bus for schools, because we know that some children could just be in school, they never knew they was going to have menstrual rules. That's an onset, it just burst. So they don't suffer embarrassment, they're able to have where to go to. Even in workplaces, we should have this. Give them preferences. Those who have children, it is difficult for a mother to just leave a child at home when the child ran temperature from 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. Any woman that throws that child alone with the head and goes to work, I don't know how we classify such a woman. Understand that we have such issues. So when we are making policies, we should make room to accommodate issues as this. Mrs. S and S calls in that my husband ran temperature all through night. As a matter of fact, I'm rushing to the clinic. You not say because of that woman comes and have query. It's a woman that is alive that will live to meet her target. So let's give these preferences and not just have a stereotype system that dehumanizes people and take. When we are going to get to the age of robots, we are not there yet. When robot comes, yes, we'll look at how to balance that. But these are still human beings that should be dealt with like human beings. Don't stereotype them and make them feel lower than they naturally are. I think this is where we should leave it there concerning workplace, healthy workplace provisions.
Yeah, thank you so much. So finally, which organizations, which people would you like to send your greetings to? Usually we'll give our guests a few seconds to also appreciate people who support their work, people who are there for them, knowing that we live in very difficult corporate times where you hardly find people who want to support the cause you champion. The best they could tell you is, you're doing a great job and all that, and then they really don't support you. But not be you are doing a great job, Ugo job, it doesn't pay the office rent.
Absolutely.
And all that.
Yeah.
So we give our guests a few minutes to also appreciate publicly people and organizations that support them. So go on, sir.
Thank you so much. We must firstly, I must thank everyone, members of OSHversity family, who has that's my constituency, who have been there to support me in all I do and give me all I need to just keep moving ahead. But I also want to thank the Marriott hotels, the Protea hotels, and people like the telecoms like Ericsson, those that have supported us greatly in all that we do, Protea Hotel and Continental Hotel, those that have stood by us in all that we do, that have ensured that in spite of all that happened, we are able to keep our heads above water. We thank you. Sheraton, we thank you for all you have done, and the Radisson Blue, and other organizations for all you have done to support us in ensuring that we keep going on in this stead. We are most grateful, and we just hope we have more years of relationship. You listen to us, and that's what that really matters, because we may do all that we are doing. If you don't listen to us, there's nothing we can do. Those that listen to us, we appreciate you, and this continuous partnership, we just keep it going, and for the health and well-being of humanity, and those that have cause to work with you and have relationship to have cause also deal with us in cause of the work that we do. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Okay, thank you very much for that one. And for those of you who joined us, okay, you wanted to say something? Yeah, I think, please go on. Go on.
It will be out of place if I do not mention my wife, who has supported me greatly in this work, because people see me outside, I do a lot of work. When I come home, I'm as good as a useless man. I'm worn out.
Yeah.
There's a woman that gives me that comfort, that nurtures me, that gives me that home, that peace to be able to do all I'm doing. I must give kudos to Barbara Eden, who has been a very strong pillar behind all we have achieved within the time we have operated. I want to thank you for the continuous support, and we look forward to more support in going further. So I just feel I should mention that. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you, Ahis. And to everyone who joined us, we sincerely really thank you all for joining. Everyone who sent us messages, we really thank you. I'll be bringing Ahis back maybe later on in the month, because I really need us to talk about what we can also do, looking at gender friendly issues, around the work related environment, what women can do. And I'm happy the pandemic is teaching organizations, teaching people too, that you can run consultancy from the home front. You can do a whole lot from the home front. And I know a lot of women will be very happy to really work from home. He was talking about issues where a woman husband might run temperature all through the night till morning. You don't expect her to be in a right frame of mind to also go to the office and sit down and concentrate. A woman whose son or child has teething problems and ran temperature all through the night, and then she's running off to work and leaving the child with the housemaid and all that. I know a lot of organizations now are beginning to have little rooms and spaces where nursing mothers can have their children just stay there. She could come intermittently to look at the children or child and go back, and that helps a lot because it helps the woman concentrate at work because she knows her son, her daughter is just the next room away. She gives all her input and all that. Anyway, I'll be bringing him again to talk with us, and I really must thank our guests. We're looking at or we just looked at mental health, how we can reduce work-related stress. There's so much to talk about when it comes to work-related stress, especially the pepe. I know he will come back and cover pepe, but he said something that some people leave some jobs just for 2,000 naira, and then they get to another place and they start regretting that. Just I know. Okay, so thank you so much, Iden, for finding time to join us. Next week, Tuesday, is another time where we'll come up with a new topic, and just stay with us here for all that. And yes, let's thank Mrs. Iden for all you do for our friend. And though he didn't mention the other room, but then we understand. Okay, people, thank you all for joining us. Thanks to everyone who joined us. We will see you next week, Tuesday, God willing, 2 p.m. West African time for a fresh edition. Do like our YouTube page, and thanks to everyone who's been liking our Facebook page. On Shagalinko, we're hitting 8,000 now. We truly appreciate. So let's do all that on other social media. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere on at Shagalinko TV. Yeah. So do like our page, and for YouTube, do click on the notification button so that whenever we come on live, you will get us. Thanks once again to everyone. Till I see you next week. My name is Ambassador Emmanuel Gabari, urging you to have a blissful, wonderful Saturday. Bye-bye.